All right, today we're going to become historical detectives. Using just a few pieces of paper, census records, old newspapers, we are going to piece together the entire story of one family on one street in Victorian England. Let's get into it.
So, let's travel back in time. The year is 1891. We're in a bustling market town called Totnes in Devon. You've got this ancient Norman castle looking over everything, the River Dart winding through. You can almost smell the coal smoke and fresh-cut timber. This is the world we're about to step into.
Okay, now let's zoom in a little closer. Because on one specific street in this very town, a family lived and worked, and their story is what we're here to uncover. This is Ticklemore Street. And no, it's not some grand, fancy avenue. Think of it as a lively, working-class artery, the real heart of the town. It was famous for its cheese markets, and it was packed with makers, traders, and all sorts of artisans, a real hub of activity. And right in the middle of all this action lived the Grute family. They weren't just living on this street. They basically embodied the hardworking, industrious spirit of the whole town.
And here they are, the whole family captured in a single moment by the 1891 census. First up, you've got the dad, George Sr., a master carpenter at 46. Then there's his wife, Alice. Their son, George Jr., is 20, and he's following right in his dad's footsteps as an apprentice. And then you have the two daughters, Harriet and Alice, both working as dressmakers. I mean, you can just imagine a household buzzing with the sound of hammers and sewing machines.
But if you look really, really close at that census record, beyond all the names and the ages, there's one little word, one tiny notation that tells a much, much bigger story. And it all starts with this number, the age of the eldest daughter, Harriet, just 19 years old. Because see, Harriet isn't just listed as a dressmaker. Nope. The census taker made a specific note right next to her name, designating her as an employer, a business owner, at just 19. Just stop and think about what that means for a second. We're in Victorian England, and here's a 19-year-old woman running her own business, probably hiring other people from the neighborhood. This was a huge deal. It just speaks volumes about her ambition and independence. She wasn't just working, she was a player in the town's local economy. But Harriet's incredible drive didn't just come out of nowhere. You've got to look at her father, George. Turns out he was building more than just houses and furniture. He was building a reputation, a network that reached way beyond his workshop on Ticklemore Street. So George Grute was a Freemason. And for a master craftsman like him, this wasn't some kind of mysterious secret society. Not at all. It was actually a really practical and important part of his life. It was his social club, his insurance policy, and his way of giving back to the community he lived in. He was a member of the Pleiades Lodge, one of the most respected chapters in the whole region. This was a place where a guy like George could connect with merchants, town leaders, and other skilled artisans. Their whole focus was on fellowship and charity, looking out for each other, supporting families who had fallen on hard times. The same values he put into his carpentry, he found in his lodge. Okay, now we're going to hit the fast forward button. Let's jump ahead 37 years. The world has changed, and so has that busy household on Ticklemore Street. And it's another piece of paper. This time, an obituary from 1928 that really shows us the legacy George Grute left behind. This one line from the local paper, man, it says everything. When George Grute was finally laid to rest, the men who carried his coffin were his brothers from the Pleiades Lodge. That was the ultimate sign of respect, a final tribute to a lifetime of brotherhood and commitment. And it wasn't just the lodge members there either. His funeral was a real who's who of Totnes. Of course, you had his family and friends, and a huge group from his Masonic lodge, but you also had major civic and business leaders from all over town paying their respects. I mean, just look at this list of organizations that sent flowers. The Town Council, the Steam Packet Company, the Navigation Committee. This tells you that the passing of George Grute, the master carpenter from Ticklemore Street, wasn't just a private family loss. It was a public event. The whole town felt it. And his death had another kind of poignant significance. The newspaper actually noted that with him gone, the direct male line of the Totnes-born Grutes was over. It was truly the closing of a chapter, not just for a family, but for the town itself. So, when you put all these pieces together, what do you get? From just a few lines in a census and a short column in an old newspaper, we've uncovered this surprisingly rich and detailed family saga.
Their story stretches across nearly a century. It starts back in the 1840s, builds to that snapshot we saw of the busy household in 1891. By 1921, George had even pivoted, going from carpenter to coal merchant, a smart move in a changing world. 1928 brings his funeral, which showed the town's immense respect for him. And even in 1939, his widow Alice was still there, a living link to the family's deep roots in Totnes.
It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? We just uncovered this whole world, the world of the Grutes, a story of ambition, craftsmanship, community, and legacy, all from just a few dusty old records. And it leaves you with a question. How many other epic stories just like this one are out there, just waiting to be discovered, hidden in plain sight?